Welcome to What the What. When I look at the computer and I say, if I were going to do a video answering your questions about motivation, interaction, work, social engagement, emotional intelligence, life, what would you ask me? I have 4 questions today. The first one from Craig is, what motivates you? And I love this question. What motivates me is you. I feel like we are stronger in community. I believe that we are more capable of coming up with sustainable solutions when we find ways to collaborate. So what motivates me is watching people make connections, whether those connections are in person in the workplace where you decide to be on a project together and really bring your whole magical toolbox full of fantastic resources, or your great new idea, or quite frankly, your skepticism, your invention, your fears. When you are willing to collaborate in the workplace and bring all of that, that motivates me, the ability to kind of fire that enthusiasm in people. Whether that connection is made online, like we're doing today with the first edition of the What the What show, that's what motivates me, is people looking for solutions, even if they can't be in the shared space that we have sometimes at work. What motivates me is when people come back around later on and say, hey, yeah, that worked, that helped. So that's what motivates me. Craig, I'm interested in knowing what motivates you, because I know you. Thank you for being the first person to ask me a question on what the what. And you are an incredibly motivating person yourself. I want to know what gets you out of bed in the morning. What gets me out of bed in the morning, the first thing, before anything else, the first thing that gets me out of bed in the morning is a specific decision that I make that I am going to go be useful. So my primary motivation in the morning is that specific decision before I even put my feet on the floor to go and be useful to another person. So thanks for asking. I hope that was useful. Second on What the What is a question from one of my favorite ninjas, from Terry. And she asks, how to get yourself back on track after a setback? This is a great question because we get setback all the time. I mean, it can be something as small as, having a hangnail, and something as huge as having a bankruptcy. How do you get yourself back on track from all of the little things that become obstacles? Usually what I do is realize that when I get off track, it is almost always because I have isolated and distanced myself from other people. I let the worries of the day stand between me and the people with whom I should be interacting. So the number one thing that I do when something has gone awry is I get myself back into community as quickly as possible. And Terry knows this because she's one of my number one ninjas. She's one of the people to whom I reach out when I'm feeling distanced or isolated, when I feel like I am trying to solve everything by myself without someone to bounce ideas off of. And so the number one thing that I do to get back on track is to get back in community and start to ask for people's best advice and direction, to look for their thoughts on best practices, and to really take the encouragement, the pat on the back, reach out and accept the hand that's being held out in assistance and celebration. So that's what I do, Terry. You know that. We've done a lot of that together. It's a great question. Thank you very much. Third, here on What the What, a fantastic question from Christopher. How do you get from ideas to action? And this is fantastic because we were just talking about this earlier today. Today's the first day that we're filming, and I felt a little bit stuck, a little bit afraid. We've had a lot of ideas, but we haven't actually done it. And so when we started this morning, what we realized is that we really just have to start. The idea will continue to percolate, but eventually an idea untested or untried becomes undone and unused. So for me, and for many of the people that I admire, what I see them doing is when they have a great idea, they just go do it. Go do it. It doesn't have to be perfect or flawless the first time. You just have to give it a whirl. Take it out for a turn around the dance floor. See what you like. Keep what works. Ditch what doesn't. And then go back to the drawing board and refine your ideas until you come up with something that is as close to working as possible. Because our environment will continue to change. So our ideas should never be static. They should always be in motion and movement. Give yourself permission to try and fail, and from that failure, come up with great new nuances to treat your ideas. Thanks, Christopher. That was a great question. One more just came in. So let's do one more. We're going to do 4 today on What the What. And this is from Chris. And Chris adds on to Christopher's question. So Christopher asked, how do you get from ideas to action? And then Chris asked, and how do you make that action part of your culture as opposed to just a flash in the pan? Really, if we are consistent, if we do the things that we believe will make a difference every day, that's what creates a culture. A flash in the pan is if we're just trying something once. And I'm a big fan of prototyping the best ways of being. So try it, as we said before, keep what works, ditch what doesn't, but keep consistently trying every day. So if you're looking at prototyping great new ideas and building a strong, successful culture, then be prepared to show up every day with a devoted contribution to making that culture rich and resonant based on what you're going to do. And Chris, this is just for you, just to recap. I know how incredibly consistent you are, and I applaud your consistency. What I will say is the best way to make something part of the culture and not just a flash in the pan is be strong and focused and confident in yourself that consistency will, over time and distance, make a difference. Thanks everybody for showing up for What the What. I will see you soon. I'm Propeller Girl. You get it. You got it. Go get 'em.